Good evening and welcome to this evening's episode of Radio Pitch and Putt, and this is your host Frank Deneen, and we are in the midst of, or what we're going to do is a preview of the Gents National Matchplay 2020 in Larkspur Park in Tipperary next week. I'm going to say one or two things about the event before we start and give one or two caveats on this preview as well. The first thing is that we will be mentioning about betting, and we will be mentioning about odds and who's favourite and who's not favourite. This is in no way condoning anybody partaking in any type of betting activity. It's just to illustrate the market and what is happening within it and how it is working. The second thing that I'll say as well is that as of time of recording, we are not 100% certain on the format of the event. And what I mean by that is that we are 99% certain that rounds 1 and 2 are going to be 18 holes. We have a strong understanding that round 3 is going to be 18 holes, which is the round before the quarterfinals. We are also of the understanding that the quarterfinals themselves are going to be over 36 holes on the Saturday, but that has yet to be confirmed. And we know for almost certain that the semi-finals are over 36 holes on the Sunday morning, with the final over 36 holes on the Sunday afternoon. I think it's at 1 o'clock. So the other bits of news that we have to convey to you are that we also believe that there are no spectators invited to the event because of COVID regulations. And as of right now, we are unsure of the status of the Kildare players. We, on this show anyway, really hope with all our best intentions that Kildare comes out of lockdown and the players are going to be allowed to play. If they are not out of lockdown and unable to play, we're not 1,000,000% certain of what is going to happen. So, without further ado with that, the last thing I'm going to say is that we are absolutely thrilled and excited that the event is going ahead. And I'm joined by by two players of the game who I feel could have been at the sharp end of this event had they qualified. I am joined by Irish stroke play champion and aficionado of the game, well known to us all, Mr. John Cahill from Fermoy. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Frank.
And I'm also joined by the best player in the country never to have made it to a national, to win a national. He got a silver medal once, but I don't really know if that counts or not. Mr. Darren O'Connell from Tullamore. Good evening, Darren.
Good evening, Frank.
Right, gents, are we excited and delighted with this event that is taking place? And am I fair in saying that what a field? Excluding yourselves, of course.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant that they've been able to arrange it for the year. I think for the year that's been in it, there's been so many lows that I think it's good to have such a positive end to it, hopefully, with it going ahead. And as you said, the field itself is probably one of the strongest fields I've seen, especially looking at some of the first round matches. So I think it's a shame that there's coming no spectators to watch it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Darren. Definitely the field is one of the best fields I've seen for a good few years. Yeah, it's a pity spectators won't see some of the first round matches. I actually hope to watch a few of these matches either live stream or if we do get in, which I don't think we will, but 18-hole matches I'm not too sure of. Look, players practice hard all year. I understand the climate we're in. It's tough for everyone, but 18-hole matches wouldn't be for me. And I hope it's only 2 rounds of 18 holes. I hope it's not any more. But look, time will tell, and I hope players are told sooner rather than later. That's all I need to say on this.
Yeah, the one thing is that, we've had a situation whereby the qualifying rounds of this have stroke play, and in certain quarters I think that has helped the top players because there's 17 of the top 20 in the rankings are in the field, and I think that's helped. Would you agree with that maybe there's lessons to be learned from a stroke play qualifying going forward?
I personally didn't like the stroke play qualifying.
Of course you didn't, Darren.
No, it's not even that. I think it's like, look, depending on, some courses are tougher obviously than others, but like if you have one bad hole in the stroke play qualifying, you're out of the whole thing completely. Like, and it's a match play event. So in match play, when you're actually playing the event itself, one bad hole is only one whole loss. So, I think it should be the same kind of in the qualifying as well. That's my personal view anyway. John's laughing right there.
No, my personal view is, I like the stroke play qualifier. I didn't like playing it in yellow warning weather, but look, that's another topic to be spoken about. To be honest, like you see by the field, most of the best players got through. Like in the match play, you don't want to see a scenario where, for argument's sake, John Walsh gets Ray Murphy in the qualifying, where everyone see those two players playing casual. Where a stroke play event, yes, they will both qualify. On the negative side, the weaker player will say where in a stroke play event all the good players come through and the weaker players might not get through. But I still think a stroke play qualifier, and plus as well, from a work point of view as well, you're playing match play 3 or 4 nights in a row, especially down in Cork or Dublin, the bigger counties, where you have 2 or 3 or 4 matches. It's hard to peak every night. Where stroke play, you have one chance. Like most counties have a good few qualifiers. There's pros and cons on both sides. Look, I like the stroke play qualifier. Look, you could debate it on stroke play qualifier.
Yeah, the one thing that I'd say is maybe a mixture of both. The stroke play qualifying that seeds the match play event for the rest of the week might be an idea, but maybe there's a lot of play in that. Okay, we're not going to dwell on those guys. What we're going to do now is, this is an exciting experiment in live streaming. What we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of the matches. I hope both of you have a list in front of you. For the first half of the game, I'm going to start with Darren O'Connell. I'm going to ask him to discuss each of the matches in turn, and then we will give a vote of a 1 or a 2, depending on who we think it is. So we'll start with Darren, then we'll go John, then we'll go myself, and for the second half, we might swap that around. So the first match is mouth-watering. It's the current champion and number 1 player Damien Fleming from Deer Park versus Anthony Culnan from Tipperary Hills. Darren, call this one, man.
Right. Damien Fleming, I don't think there's any introduction needed. So Damien's just class. Just even in practice, he's class. Like we played them in a challenge match, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, and just even playing with him then, he was just lethal. Cole, he's lethal around Tipperary. He's dangerous. Like he's a very, very good player. But especially around Tipperary, he's going to be so hard to beat. If I was going on it, you have to go with Damien. But it's a 50-50 game. But like, just because Damien's so good everywhere he plays, I have to go with Damien on that one.
Yeah, we won't allow sitting on the fence here now. We're going to ask you to call it as you see it. John, what's your thinking on this one?
Yeah, like to be honest here, over the last year or so, Damien Fleming has gone to a new level. Like to me, the best player for the last couple of years was Brian Delaney. Damien Fleming, as we can see, even he scored today in Rockclaw 21 under par. He's played 3 Scratch Cups this year. He's won 3 of them convincingly. Anthony Culnan is one of the most dangerous players you'll ever see. Definitely the 18-hole format will suit Anthony Culnan. He's a quick starter. He's a streaky player. Look at the betting, as I said, I'm not control betting, but look at the betting is 1-5 and 9-4. I can see the locals backing Anthony Culnan. I think it'll be very close. I think it's closer to what the betting suggests. I think Damien Fleming will just get over the line, but I think at 9-4, Anthony Culnan looks a tempting price at 9-4.
Yeah, my own personal view is Damien is currently at the moment is a class act. He's pitching has always been superb. I think he's added his putting to it in the last over COVID. I think it's done him no harm at all. I honestly think he's almost untouchable. But for a first round match, 18 holes, Anthony Cohan is as dangerous as they come. It's my personal view is that I think Damien will win this, but it will not be all one-way traffic. Are we going for a win for Damien in this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Next
Sure.
match is Robert O'Donnell, Tipperary Hills, Antonio O'Connor Medals. I don't know either of these two guys very well. Do you know the guys, Darren?
I really don't. I really don't. Look, if I'm going to say anything, I'd say that Tony. I don't think Tony travels much outside Galway, so I don't know whether he's ventured down to Tipperary and played Tipperary much before. So I think I'm just going to give the home advantage to Robert O'Donnell. Again, could be a 50-50 game. I don't know, but I think on this one I give the Tip Hills local advantage.
So a vote for Robert there, John.
To be honest, I don't know much about these both players, but as Darren said, I would have to give it to the local man, like a guy from Galway. Chances are he might even come down for a game. I'd have to fancy Robert here, definitely.
Okay, yeah, I just purely on the fact that what I've heard from Tony O'Connor is he's a lovely gentleman, but again, we haven't seen much of him on the circuit, so I think we're going to go with Robert here. The third match, Evan Carey, Castletown, young upcoming star, versus Ian Dillon from St. Bridget's. Now, we're assuming that Ian will be playing and that everything will be okay. This is a mouth-watering tie. Darren, what's your call?
Right. Two really good guys and two really good players. I think Ian Dillon is just class. I think he's so underrated, and I think he's due. First of all, I think he's due a Leinster title in the next few years. Evans, after winning 2 Scratch Cups, I think this year, and he's just been close on a few. Like, he's still only settling in, I think, to the adult ranks. Like, he's getting there, but like, I think he likes soft greens. I know that, so I'm going to give it to Ian on experience factor, but again, it could be 50-50. Evan could destroy Ian just because I said that. That's the kind of lad he is. So, I'm going to give it to just Ian, but I'll probably get a private message from Evan after this and probably a middle finger or something. But look, I'm going to give it to Ian.
John?
Yeah, it's one of the ties. When I saw it come out, I was really interesting to see. Evan Carey, talking to Eamon Gibney. Eamon Gibney keeps saying, the minute this guy wins one tournament, he said, this man will take over. He's won 2 Scratch Cups. From what I hear, his confidence is flowing. He's a brilliant putter. He loves soft greens, I was told. I think Ian Dillon will leave his hands full here. Ian Dillon, to me, spins the ball an awful lot. And with the rain coming, I'm not sure Cashel could be ideal for him. I'd be in the Evan Carey camp. Have to give it to Evan. Have to give it to him.
Yeah, this is for me. I get the casting vote on this one. This is very tough. I've seen Evan Carey play in the Matchplay in Rocklodge last year. I was lucky enough to play Ian Dillon in the Matchplay in Rocklodge. I felt that for some reason Ian left a lot of putts short that day, and I think his putting is a little suspect. But I know he works hard on it. But he's one of the best pitchers in the game, and this is really difficult to call. I think I'm going to go with Ian on experience alone. But this Evan Carey guy has got a bright future, and look out for him in next year in Navan for the stroke play, because this guy could be huge for the future of the game. So I'm going to go with Ian Dillon. That gives it 2 votes to 1 for Ian Dillon, so he'll get the nomination there. Next one is Alan Hobart Tralee and Darren O'Reilly Collinstown. Darren, you know Darren Riley well, I presume, yeah?
Yeah, Darren Riley is a good player, and he's solid. Like, and to come out with Collins, like those Collins.
Yeah, you've just...
So for Darren to qualify ahead of all of them, you know, he must be playing well. Alan Hobart, I really know nothing much about Alan. It's a 50-50. I think it's a flip of a coin. I think I'd give it to Alan simply because he's Munster and he's probably played it a good few times already, because it's a long spin from Collinstown down to Larkspur Park for practice. I'd say Alan, they get up a lot quicker.
Johnny?
I'm going Alan.
You're one?
Yeah. Yes, well, again, there are two players I don't know much about. To be honest, Darren is a good player over the years. As I said, I don't know much about both players. I'd probably slightly favour Darren, but I mean, I sit on the fence here small, but I'd probably, as I said, I'd give a thumbs up to Darren, just about.
Yeah, my impression as well. Alan Hobart, I think, was the guy who as an intermediate won the Tralee Scratch Cup. So he certainly has flashes of form coming into this. But Darren O'Reilly and Constant, I think Westmeath are underrated as a county because they do have some good players there. I'm going to give the vote to Darren Riley as the tiebreaker, so we'll go with Darren again. But again, it's much of a muchness on this one. Next one has got another Tralee player, Jason O'Regan. He's been around a long time, and Sean Goggin out of McBride. Go for it, Darren.
Yeah, this could be one of the rounds or one of the games of the round if Jason's putting well. I think Jason's a fantastic pitcher, but I think his putting is letting down. He said that to me before. Sean Goggins, just to me, he's nearly there at national level. Like, he's after having some close encounters now, and he's won his Leinster Championship. So I think I'm going to give it to Sean on the basis that his whole game is all there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jason gets his putting going. You know, could be a different story.
John?
Yeah, these two guys, probably two of the nicest guys you'll meet in the game. Two genuine guys, two guys you meet, the nicest guys you ever meet. Jason Regan, probably his Matchplay record is probably as good as anyone in the country. Over the last few years, he has suffered big time with his putting. I spoke to him on a few occasions, and he felt he couldn't get his head around it. But the one thing about Jason O'Regan could pitch the first 5 holes 3 inches, and he might need to push. Sean Goggins is probably, himself and Eamon Gibney are probably the two best players not to win a national. I know Sean is practicing hard for this event, and he's a good record in Cashel. Unless Jason is pitching out of his mind, I would be in the Sean Goggins camp here big time. Big plus for Sean Goggins here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Sean Goggins as well. Jason's a lovely guy as well, and a super player. Jason, the softer the better for Jason. I don't think he's got great stop on the ball. But Sean Goggins' record in the match play is supreme. He got to a final, he got to 2 semi-finals, and I actually don't remember him at a lot of these events either. So when he does get the chance, it's like the Loud guys, you know, when they get so many few qualifiers, when they get the chance they really seem to grab it by the scruff of the neck. I think Sean could have a huge tournament here. I'm giving him a vote for this one. The next one's an intriguing match. John Walsh Collins versus Brian Cahill Lakeside. Darren, call this one.
Yeah, John seems to be back in form. Like, he did a great score in Dockwood, considering he played 1 or 2 practice rounds in it before the actual event, and you have to be playing well to score there. And I think he did another great score in Rock Lodge today. Brian can be very, very good when he's on it. If he's not on it, I think John just had too much for him. So going on experience and going on the way he's playing, I'm going to give it to John.
John?
Yeah, this game, I looked at this game very closely, and to me, look at the outright betting. John Walsh is 14-1 to win it out. I don't know who the odds compilers are. 14-1 looks a very big price for me the way John is playing this year. It's 17 today in Rock Lodge. He 20 in Collins's. He went odds on favour and running in the Irish Open. To me, the man's playing great stuff. His record on Cashel is fantastic. Brian Cahill, again, local man, will know it well, but I can see no one winning bar John Walsh here. I think this man would have a big say in the outright championship.
A good resounding plus for John Walsh there. John's a great player, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Last couple of years he hasn't been at his absolute best, but he's shown good form. The thing is, from what I'm hearing out of Lakeside, is that Brian Cahill is playing absolutely brilliant stuff. 18 holes, first round, Lakeside. Brian Cahill led Brian Delaney in the third round down in Rock Lodge last year for a good section of it. I think Brian Cahill is a very underrated player. Just to throw a bit of controversy in there, I'm going to give my vote to Brian Cahill. Not that it makes any difference because it's 2-1 at the moment, but I think don't be surprised if Brian Cahill gives a good fright to John Walsh. So John Walsh is our selection going into the next one. The next match is intriguing. Owen Keating, the young Cork superstar, versus the guy who's arguably playing the best of anyone at the moment around Tipperary, Michael Fennell from Lakeside. Darren, call this one.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50 game. If you're a spectator, it's another great game to watch. Owen's a very, very natural player. We played around with him in Inter-County last year and I was impressed. But I think Mike Fennell, when he's on it, especially around Tipperary. And he had a confidence boost and win in Bruff, which is a tough course to do a score on and especially even win. So I'm going to give the home advantage to Mick Fennell. I'm going to give him the win because I think he is playing fantastic stuff at the moment.
Very good. John?
I think this match could be one of the best matches in the whole championship. Owen Keating, as a man says, he loves soft greens. He's a very accurate player, doesn't spin the ball. Putting, I saw him last year. I wasn't too impressed with his putting. This year I played him a couple of times and he really has worked in his putting. Michael Fenn is probably playing the best pitch putt of his life. Again, a very streaky player. When he's on his game, he's absolutely awesome. When he's off it, things will go against him. To be honest, it's a flip of a coin. I saw the betting is 1-2. Michael Fenn evens Owen Keating. I think it's closer than that. I think toss of a coin. I'd probably slightly favour Owen Keating, but I think this match could be going to tie holes.
Yeah, I played in the Larkspur Park Scratch Cup a couple of weeks ago with Owen Keating, and he birdied the first 6 holes in a row when we started. I thought he was going to absolutely rip the place apart completely. But if he does that in the match play and gets the first 6 in a row, he's going to be a couple up at least. And that kind of confidence over 18 holes could give him a huge bonus. Michael Fennell, though, knows Tipperary, knows Larkspur Park. He's obviously on a high confidence-wise. I'm going to go with Michael Fennell to give him the edge on this one. So 2-1, we go with Michael Fennell. Next one, Michael Conway Tralee and Owen Mitten from Loughlinstown.
I don't know Michael Conway. I've never heard the guy. He could be a very good player. I know Owen. I've seen Owen play. Owen's a very steady player. And on this one, I'm going to give to Owen solely because I know Owen and I know he's a very good player. So I think, I'm going to give a plus to him.
Great. John?
Yeah, again, this is a match. I don't know much about both players. If it's a guy, I think Michael Conway, he's a very solid player. If I have the right guy in my mind, Owen, to be season campaigner, I'd have a slight favour for Owen, but just give it to Owen slightly.
Yeah, again, I don't know Michael Conway at all. I know Owen Mitten from Loughlinstown. In fact, he qualified out of Loughlinstown home course. You say to yourself, what does that mean, or does it mean anything? But I have got to go with Owen here as well in this one. So he's got 3 votes there, and he goes through in our virtual round to the next one. Okay, next one is Declan Freeman from Moy versus Ronan Loughlane from Lakeside.
Oh, this is tough because I don't think Decky's playing the same stuff he was playing 2 years ago in Tullamore or when he was in Rice. And I don't really know much about Ronan Loughlin. I just know him from his scores maybe in Lakeside Scratch Cups. I think on this one I will go with Decky though. I think I'm going to lead with my heart because I think he'll just get over the line.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, Decky for my own club and for my... Decky's playing solid at the moment. He's playing some very good rounds, some average rounds, but Decky should have way too much firepower for Ronan. Ronan's a very good player, but Decky should have way too much firepower. Decky should win here comfortably, I'd be expecting.
Yeah, Ronan Loughlin's a lovely guy. I got on very well with him, but I'm not sure is he a senior player. I think he might be bordering intermediate on it. I know that Liam Myers beat him last time that he qualified for the match play. I think Declan's is going to win this, so we'll put Declan in. I think Declan will play a lot in this game as we go along further, so we'll see how it goes. Patsy Farrell from Bruff, and Justin Gill from Loughlinstown. Darren.
Yeah, Justin Gill, I think he's going to have to come back playing this year. From some of the scores I'm after seeing, and I think in Tullamore as well, he scored very, very well. And I think he could be one maybe for the future with regard, if he keeps playing and playing well in Dublin, he could be a possible county player in the future. But I think Patsy's just a legend. And he's such a good player. I think even today, he's 44 in Rock Lodge, so it just shows you what the man's made of. So definitely for me, it's Patsy all the way.
Very good. John?
Yeah, Patsy Farrell, over 55s winner a couple of years ago in ESB. Shot 15 or 16 on the party in Rock Lodge. Patsy Farrell, another one of these players. He's around a long time. One of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. Again, very good on soft greens. Great pitcher of a ball. Justin Gill, I don't know much about the man. I had to ask Darren before the programme who he was. I'd be in the Patsy Farrell camp here big time. Big plus for Patsy Farrell here.
Yeah, unless we hear something about Justin Gill, I think Patsy Farrell has got this wrapped up unless something happens. But again, 18 holes, you don't know. My vote, Patsy Farrell. Patsy Farrell goes through. Next one, Pacelli Darcy Bruff versus Michael O'Donoghue Tipperary Hills. Darren?
Yeah, again, I know nothing about Michael O'Donoghue. So he could be dangerous. Around Larkspur, I have no idea. I think Pacelli Darcy, he's probably one of the best pitchers I've ever seen. But he hasn't been playing as well as he was. But Pacelli, I think, knows Larkspur as good as anyone else. So I don't even think home advantage would be good enough for Michael here. So I'm going to go with Pacelli on this one.
Okay, John?
Yeah, Pacelli Darcy. I was lucky to be out with him 3 weeks ago in Cashel. He was 3 under par for first 9. Was doing nothing. All of a sudden, he woke up. He birdied 8 in a row. Then he birdied 5 in the next 6 second round. He was 17 with 10 to play. Finished 18. Pitching absolutely awesome. From what I hear, Michael O'Donoghue is an 8 handicapper, so Pacelli Darcy should win this game comfortably. There should be no betting this game.
Yeah, I tipped Pacelli Darcy to win up in Lochaul actually, but he didn't do me any justice. But no, I think Pacelli has too much experience and too much in the tank for Michael O'Donoghue. Right, next one, Chris Gallagher from Lucan versus Darren Goodall from Tralee. Darren is Jonathan's younger brother. So Darren?
Yeah, I didn't even know Darren Goodall was back playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought he was still playing the golf. It's good to see him back playing. I think, though, to be honest, Christopher Gallagher is he's a top player. You know what I mean? He like, apart from JR, I think he's Dublin's next best player. I even seen him playing in Tullamore a few weeks ago, and he was just very, very good in tough conditions. So, to me, it's going to Chris.
Very good. John?
Yeah, like Darren, I didn't rely Darren Goodall was back playing. I'm delighted to see him back playing. I know him with a good few years. He's a very nice lad. Very good player. Chris Gallagher, again, I agree with Darren. To me, he's Dublin's number 2 player by a mile. I played him in the national match by myself a couple of years ago. Great player, great pitcher of a ball. I'd be expecting Chris to win this game convincingly.
Yeah, I think Chris has got too much here. Darren was good, or at least the Darren that I knew was very good. But I think COVID comebacks aside, I think Christopher Gallagher is going to win this one. Right, guys, we need to up the pace here a minute because we're running out of time. But we'll keep going, right, and we'll get through all of this. So Skinner, Malone, Lucan. Yeah, that's the highlight. Go on, Skinner, Malone, Lucan versus Ray Murphy, St. Anne's.
Okay, I'm just going to straight out Ray Murphy. He's the GOAT.
Fair enough. John?
Yeah, I can't see past a Ray. Unless Ray has a really off day, I can't see anything but a Ray Murphy win.
Yeah, it was great time for Skinner, but I think Ray Murphy. Can't say any more. Next one, Darren Byrne from Moy. You'll know him, John. And Brian O'Flynn, Arden Crushed, winner of the intermediate stroke play last year.
I played with Darren a few weeks ago in Tullamore. He's a very, very good pitcher. And I've heard good stories about him down in Fermoy. I'm going to go with Darren over Brian because I think Brian's a bit inconsistent.
Very good. John?
Yeah, I play a lot with Darren Byrne. Darren Byrne is probably the most upcoming young player I've seen for a long time. He's a fantastic pitcher. He's really started his putting the last week. Brian O'Flynn was probably the best intermediate player last year, but I would be in the Darren camp here, big time.
Very good. Yeah, I've seen Darren play, and he's very good. I like Brian O'Flynn's attitude, though, on the course. I like the way that he approaches it. It's almost like a semi-professional approach. I'm going to vote for Brian, but it's a Pyrrhic victory here for Brian on this one because he loses out to Darren on the vote 2-1. Right, Andrew Lowe, Old County versus Stephen Shore from Lakeside. Darren?
I think that this is going to be a little close for me, all think. Stephen Shore, obviously, mad favourite, but I've seen him playing in front of me in Lakeside, and looks like he was suffering with his back. So I think he will just make it over the line, but I think Andy will give him a bit of a scare.
Vote for Stephen, though, yeah?
Vote for Stephen, yeah.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I'd be in the Stephen Shore camp here. I think Andy Lowe, if memory serves me right, I think he beat John the first round. Was it in Sea Point? Was it a couple of years ago? I think. But no, I'd be in the Stephen Shore is brilliant around Cashel. He practiced hard there, and no, I'd be in the Stephen Shore camp here big time.
Yeah, I have to say I'm in Stephen Shore camp as well. I thought he's another one that's on the cusp of winning something, and in Tipperary he's very good. I think I have to go with him there. Right, next one, probably the tightest game of the top half of the draw. Shane Murphy versus Trevor Ahern.
I'm just delighted Trevor made it because now we'll have a live stream from the event live for the rest of the day. No, I think Shane Murphy is just awesome. He's unbelievable. He's on a different level. He's up with the Damien Fleming level. So I think poor old Trevor's going to have a hard time. But best of luck to him. I think Shane Murphy all the way.
Great. John?
Yeah, look, I think this could be a very one-sided affair. I think Trevor was up practicing there. I think he practiced the first 10 holes 3 times. He didn't bother playing the last 8 holes because he felt there was no point. But no, all jokes aside, look, Shane Murphy is one of the favourites to win it. The only thing I will say about Shane Murphy, and I often spoke to his dad about this, Shane rather the greens kind of firm, and with soft greens at the moment, Shane does spin the ball an awful lot. I don't think he'd have any problems in this game, but going forward and with the weather next week, the soft greens could come against Shane. I saw it in Rock Lodge last year against Ray Murphy, and in the next match against Dave, he does spin the ball a lot. It could come against him in the later matches, but Shane should have no problems here. I think it could be an all-time record here if Shane gets moving at times. Yeah.
An all-time record, over 80 holes. No, look, I saw Shane absolutely demolish people one after another when he won the Munster match play there last year. He can be a very special player. Trevor is just a special guy, and I mean that in a good way. No, look, Trevor, we're delighted you're in the field, but you're going to get whopped. Right, next. Okay, we're on to the second half. John, you're taking over as lead now, right? And we start with this trifling little match. We have John Ross Crangle from Loughlinstown versus some lad, Frank Deneen from St. Anne's. Call this one.
Well, I know when the draw was made, people laugh. The NEC were happy to see this draw made, but this definitely has to be the tied around. On paper, look, to be honest here, John Ross Crangle deserves to be hot favourite. Definitely 18 holes will help Frank Dedeen. Frank Dedeen often makes mistakes. He often goes double tap soccer chips, but definitely 18 holes, he probably only get 2 of them. John Ross Crangle has had a quiet year. Look, obviously, in fairness to the man, he's done a lot of charity work and doing other things, but I think John Ross Crangle will win this, not by much. But I just don't think Frank Dedeen is consistent enough. Sorry, Frank.
Darren?
Yeah, it's probably my favourite match of the first round. I think it'll provide plenty of entertainment, even if it only lasts 13 holes. I think look, when he's on his game, he's fantastic to watch. We've seen that last year in Rice, and so we did. Frank, when you play well, you are a tough cookie. I don't think though you play JR. I think if it comes down to the last and you miss the last green, how are you going to put it over the drain? Because you can't chip.
Right. I think this is definitely the eye-watering tied around. John Ross Crangle, proven player, top player, got to the final here the last time it was held, won his national match play in Tipperary Hills down the road. Absolutely class player, and has done great work for charity and everything else, and a huge ambassador, and I loved what he's doing with Dublin Pitch and Putt. Yaman Dineen, God almighty, if even he knew what Dineen was going to show up on the first tee, it would be a miracle. He can be brilliant at times, but probably not for 36 holes, and he can be absolutely awful. The one thing I will say is, though, that Larkspur Park has been the scene of his greatest triumph, which was the Intercounty in 2008, I think anyway, and of his probably the event that he will look back on with probably his lowest ebb, when the brilliant and great and delighted to see Marty Fall beat him that day. But that's Dineen all out. He can be awesome or he can be shocking, and nobody knows which guy is going to show up on the day. But the thing is, this could be a great match. This could go 36 holes on its own, just in tie holes. But the vote from the unanimous victory is number 1 for J.R. Crangle. Right, we'll try up the pace a small bit. James Ryan Brough versus Paul Nolan Lucan.
James Ryan Brough is probably the best 18-hole player I've seen for a long time. I'd say he's won more final 18s in Scratch Cups than any player I've seen. A very dangerous player. I think James Ryan will win this game, win it convincingly. I think this man could win, could shake a few matches. But I've been James Ryan camp here big time.
I disagree. I think Paul Nolan wins this one. I think Paul he's a match player, and he's proven that over the last few years. So James, he's a great player, a fantastic guy, but I think Paul he's a match play guy. So I think I'm going to go for Paul.
Paul Nolan got to the semi-final of this event last year. He was one of the pre-qualified players. Played super consistent in Rock Lodge last year. Excellent. However, James Ryan used he play out of here actually at one stage? John, am I correct in that, or was he Tipperary?
No,
Hills?
Tipples, Frank.
But he knows this place like the back of his hand. I'm going to go for James Ryan. Sorry, you're outvoted. Right. The next one, Thomas Lynch versus Jared Tuig from Royston. And that is, again, assuming Jared is going to be there.
Again, it's nice to see Thomas Lynch back playing. Thomas Lynch hasn't played properly for the last couple of years. He's put a big effort in this year. I don't know much about Jared Tuig, but I'd be expecting Thomas Lynch to win this game.
Darren?
Yeah, I don't know much about Jared, to be honest. And like John, it's great to see Tom back playing. I've seen him playing his best, and hopefully he can get back to where he is. So yeah, I'm going to go for Tom this time.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Thomas is is a class player. He's probably better off the green than he is on it. His chipping is immense. I'm going to go with Thomas on this one. Right, Damien Sweeney, St. Bridget's versus Liam Myers, St. Anne's as well. Another Kildare player.
Again, two lovely people. Damien Sweeney's really come through the ranks. I met him for the first time last year at the Ladies Stroke Play. A lovely guy. I was watching his scores closely. He's really progressing nicely. Liam Myers, and one of St. Anne's inter-club stars. Another player loves the soft greens. Doesn't play an awful lot of pitch and putt, but when he plays, he qualifies for a lot of events. I'd slightly favour Liam. Again, I think it'd be tight, but I slightly fancy Liam.
Very good.
Damien's back playing. He's actually playing very well. He's doing some great scores. I've actually never met Liam Myers, and I've never seen him play. But I think I'm just going to give it a Liam on the basis of, he qualified out of Cork, finished ahead of John Cattle in the qualifying, so he can't be that bad a player.
Okay, I'm Damien Sweeney. I don't know him that well. Liam Myers to me is class act. He's got real when the pressure comes on. The guy knows how to play. Liam all day. Right. Eamon Gibney, Castletown versus Dean Granell, St. Patrick's. The prides of Leinster meet in this first round. John.
Yeah, probably two of the best players not to win a national. Dean Granell played fantastic in the Irish Open a couple of weeks ago. One of these players spins the ball a lot, does better on tougher courses, where I feel Cashel is probably the opposite. It's a bit of a putting competition. Eamon Gibney, well, to me, he's probably playing the best pitch of his life. If you talk to him, he's not playing well. He's the most negative person you'd ever speak to. But to me, Eamon Gibney is the most dedicated person you'll see. I'd have to give the vote to Eamon, definitely. Yes.
Darren, as a Leinster man?
Yeah, this is another good game. Dean's playing some fantastic stuff. He's been playing fantastic for the last 2 years. And yeah, there could be great things to come from in the future. Eamon Gibney, he just oozes enthusiasm and excitement. I'd say he was more excited than anyone about this game. But seriously, he's unbelievable. I know he did that score in Tullamore, and he said he didn't go home and check scores, but I think he was glued to it for the whole day. So we were going to put in fake scores. The man's passionate. He's fantastic. I think Eamon's going to get over the line. I think he's going to have a big say in this tournament.
Right. Eamon Gibney, I love him to bits, but oh my God, he is the most negative player I've ever come across in my life. If you ask him, how's he playing? Oh, terrible, shocking. I don't think I could get a 3. I'm so bad. I've never seen anything like it. They talk about people with self-belief, and this guy just is. I really like him, but oh my God, would he ever cop on and tell us that he is actually playing well? I know Dean Granell a little bit. I don't know him that well, but Eamon for me is got this one. Now the next match I think could be an absolute cracker. You've got DJ Lynch from Tipperary Hills and Robert O'Donoghue from Douglas. John, you're up front with this one because I think this is mouth-watering as well. This could be a great match.
No, we've gone from the last game, Mr. Negative, to Mr. Positive. Robert O'Donoghue I like the lad. Yes, he's one of these guys, very outspoken. He's not short of confidence. He believes in his ability. But in fairness to the man, at the moment, he's talking the talk and he's walking the walk. He's playing fantastic pitch and push. He's Cork County Stroke Play champion. He's in the top 2 or 3 scores every event at the moment. This game could be a belter. DJ Lynch won the Cashel side Larkspur Park Scratch Cup a few weeks ago. Wow, this could be an absolute cracker. The only worry I have for Rob is he does spin the ball an awful lot, and I keep referring to matches. With the weather coming, spin could be a problem. I slightly favour DJ Lynch. He's very good in Larkspur Park, and yeah, I definitely would be in the DJ Lynch camp here.
Okay, Darren?
Yeah, I really don't know Robert O'Donoghue. I've heard of him. I've heard the scores he's done, but I really don't know anything about him. DJ, I've seen him win the Larkspur Park Scratch Cup. And for the quality of field that there's been there, that's an outstanding achievement. So it goes to show you that he's not really phased by who he's playing. And he's a good guy as well, and he's a very solid player. So I'm going to go with DJ Lynch on this one.
Okay, guys, I'm going to disagree with you. I think Robert O'Donoghue has proven so far this year that he is able to back up what he says. He reminds me a little bit of a young, good-looking Frank Dineen. A bit arrogant, a bit cocky, believes in himself to the ultimate extreme. I honestly think that he's going to win this. He's favoured for a reason, which is surprising. Actually, I'm surprised that he was favoured. But I would vote for Rob in this. But this is I think this will be very tight, and I think this will be a great game. Right, next one: Chris Scannell Collins versus Sean Buckley Erie. Darren.
Yeah.
Or sorry, John.
No,
John.
go with
Sorry, yeah.
John.
Yeah. John, yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, it's nice to see Chris Gannon back playing. Chris Gannon hasn't played much pitch foot the last few years. Shawnee Buckley, very good player on Offaly. Down here, I couldn't see him challenging Chris. Chris is way too consistent. I can only see one winner here. Chris Gannon will win here convincingly.
Darren?
Yeah. Shawnee is such a positive player, such a positive character. The one thing about Shawnee is he does get very nervous, especially when it comes to big tournaments. So Chris is like, he's just experienced. He's been there, he's done that. He is, again, he's another player that could go. I think, did he win it last time he was in Larkspur Park?
He did, he won it then. Yeah, he beat Ger in the final.
Yeah, I think poor old Shawnee's going to be in for a hard morning, I think.
Okay, for me, Chris Scannell is one of the greatest players ever to play the game. I actually love the way he hits the ball. I love the way that I grew up watching him. Class player. I think he'll do well, and Shawnee will have a tough morning. Chris, for me on that one, Thomas Hanley Bruff versus Kieran Earls from Partine, another cracker. Come on, John.
Yeah, this is one of the best games you'll see. Kieran Earls, a couple of years ago, I thought this man was going to win 3 or 4 nationals. I think he suffered from a few back problems. Again, I think he's probably the one player I looked at. 18-hole format suits him. I think he's a very quick starter. He's very streaky. He's a great pitcher of the ball. Tommy Hanley was playing better a couple of years ago. The last year or so, he seems to be gone a bit quiet. I saw him in Cashel a few weeks ago. His hair was kind of dyed blonde or whatever. I think he's gone to a different look, but no, two good friends. Tough game for both of them because the two of them are good friends. But I'd be definitely Kieran Earls thumbs up here, definitely.
Darren?
Yeah, I think this is one I'm going to keep an eye on. I think it's one of the top games. And the boys know each other's games inside out, so they know each other's weaknesses. I love watching Tommy Hanley play. I think he's a really unique style, and he's probably one of my favourite players. But Kieran's just Kieran. He's class, and I think he could run it close this year. I hope so for him because I think he deserves something for all the effort he puts in. So I'm going to go with Kieran.
Yeah, for me, Tommy Hanley, I was messing with him saying that he looked like one of the Beach Boys with the blonde dyed hair. I think Tommy's a class player. He did really well in the international trial here 2 years ago or whenever it was. I think he's very good. My vote would have been for Tommy Hanley, but unfortunately I'm outvoted 2-1 in this case, so we'll keep going. Darren Fagan, Sea Point, and John Brown, Collinstown. John?
Yeah, to be honest, you have to give Darren credit. Any year to qualify out of loud is not easy. I think there are only 2 qualifiers this year. John Brown is a seasoned campaigner. I think John could find it tough in this match. Yeah, I think Darren will win this game. Yeah, I have no doubt.
Darren? Yeah, well, I think from my understanding, Darren Fagan to come out of loud is important. I think that I'm going to give the vote to Darren as well. I think John Brown is a brilliant guy, and I have great time for him. But I don't think he's going to manage this one. Is Darren left us? He has. We'll try regain him back there in a few minutes, John. Can we keep going for a moment?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Next game.
Leonard O'Mara, Erie, and Angus Coughlin from Erie.
Yeah, two club mates going head to head. Never easy in the first round. I wouldn't think both guys would have liked to see this draw. Yeah, Angus Coughlin, Leinster champion. Angus Coughlin in this game all day.
Yeah, I think Angus Coughlin as well, to be honest. His reputation is too big against Leonard O'Mara. Right, Paul O'Brien, Lakeside versus Charlie Compton, Tip Hills. Yeah,
look, two Tipperary men go head to head. I don't think Paul O'Brien's had the best season so far from look at his scores. Doesn't seem to be a small bit hot and cold. Charlie Compton will know Larkspur Park very well. Look, Paul O'Brien will be hot favoured here, but I think he could just fall over the line, but it wouldn't surprise me if Charlie caused an upset here.
Very good. John, just 1 second. I'm just going to pause at a moment while I try to get Darren back. Darren, you're back with us. Sorry about that. We broke line there for a minute. Darren Fagan, John Brown, you're calling your vote?
I'm going to go for John Brown.
Very good. Angus Coughlin and Leonard O'Mara, both two Erie men.
Angus Coughlin.
Right. Next game, Paul O'Brien and Charlie Compton from Tipperary Hills. John, you were saying Paul O'Brien, yeah?
Yeah, I slightly Paul O'Brien, just about.
Yeah. And Darren?
I actually don't know. I don't know anything about Charlie Compton. But Paul O'Brien, he played very well in Tullamore a few weeks ago. And you can't judge him how he played in Lakeside because all the work he's put in, and I know myself that takes it out. Yeah, I think he's going to have his mind on this now, and I think Paul will take this one.
Yeah, I think Paul O'Brien was voted as well the best player never to win a national. His class, Marta, obviously doing so well last year, will have egged him on even more. I think he'll be very dangerous in this whole thing. So I'm going to go for Paul. James Foley Jr., St. Patrick's versus Owen Walsh, Councils. John?
Yeah, James Foley, another season campaigner. Very, very good player for Wexford over the years. Owen Walsh, I think, take away Shane Murphy and Damien Fleming, he's most people's tip to win this. As I said, there's an old saying, horse for courses. Owen Walsh is probably one of the best soft green players you'll see. Doesn't spin the ball and has really put a big effort in this year. I think Owen Walsh will win this game, and I think Owen Walsh will have a big say in this championship.
Darren?
Yeah, I agree with John there. I think Owen Walsh. Think Owen Walsh takes this one. It's nice to see James back, and he was part of the St. Pat's team that won the Leinster last year. But I think Owen Walsh is going to have too much.
Yeah, I personally think Owen Walsh is superb at the moment. Maybe not the best match player consistently over long periods of time, so maybe the 18-hole format will suit him a little bit, but I think he's just brilliant, and have to go with him here in this one. Next one, Fred McMahon, Lucan and Michael Keogh from Gowran.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a match I don't know much about both players. To be honest, I won't stay long in it. I probably slightly fancy Fred, but not by, as I said, I wouldn't know much about both players, but I'll give Fred a slight thumbs up.
Yeah,
Darren? I'm the same. I don't really know much about. I've seen Fred play Tullamore a few times. I think the fact he qualified out of Dublin, I think I'm just going to give it to Fred.
Yeah, I don't know either of the. I know Fred, I think, vaguely. I'm going to go with Fred on this one as well, so he gets our vote. Gary Middleton, Collinstown, and Willie Buckley Jr. from Erie. John?
Yeah, Willie Buckley, Erie, nice to see him back in the national stage. Look, he's one of the players in Offaly that has a gold medal. Sorry, Darren. Willie Buckley is probably one of the greatest players of all time. Definitely over the years, he's suffered with putting problems. Pitching, I think he's one of the best pitchers that ever hit a ball. Yeah, I would fancy, if Willie Buckley's any bit right and he's putting any bit good, I'd fancy William Buckley here big time.
Yeah, William's been playing an awful lot in Tullamore lately, and he's a new putting stance, and it's working for him. He gave me a nice thrashing in a Matchplay event there a few weeks ago, and he is playing very, very well. His pitching's always been brilliant. He's such a unique style, but it works. As John said, he's one of the best players to ever play the game. So I think William continues his putting the way it has been. I think William beats Gary.
Yeah, I have great time for Willie Bucky Jr. He robbed my national stroke play from me up in Tullamore the first time. No, he's great. He's a great guy, great player. Gary Middleton, I think, coming out of Collinstown, like I say, I think the Westmeath guys are underrated. I'm in two minds on this. I'm going to give a vote for Gary Middleton purely because I think somebody from Westmeath will do something one of these days, and I'm going to go with Gary just to be against the two of you. But he gets the 2-1 vote, so he goes through. Stephen O'Reilly Hillview versus Stephen Murray from Old County. John.
Yeah, this is a game. Two very shy guys, two quiet guys. Stephen O'Reilly, again, a brilliant Tipperary player, does very well in these events in Tipperary. And Stephen Murray, to be over the last couple of years, has had a quiet couple of years. I played with Stephen Murray in the international trial a couple of years ago in Larkspur Park. He didn't play very well that day. Yeah, I definitely fancy if Stephen O'Reilly's on his A game, I'd fancy Stephen O'Reilly here big time.
Darren?
I don't know. I think it's a 50-50 game. I don't really know much about Stephen Riley. I've seen him play. He's a good player. Stephen Murray, I think when he's on his game, he's very good. And I'm not going to judge him on one appearance in Larkspur Park. So I'm actually going to go with Stephen Murray for this one.
Very good. I thought when you said that you were talking about two very shy players, I thought you were talking about myself and John Ross's game there for a second, John. But I played with Stephen Riley in Listowel last year in the Munster Matchplay, and the Munster Stroke Play. To be honest, he's the one guy I think that his chipping and my chipping are of a similar ilk. He's not quite as bad as me, but he does suffer a little bit with his chipping as well. I think Stephen Murray, to be honest, and I don't know why. I like Stephen O'Reilly. I think he's a lovely guy, good player. I'm going to go with Stephen Murray. And then another cracker of a match on paper, Brian Delaney, Bishopstown versus Liam O'Donovan, Bruff. Call this one, Johnny.
Now, Brian Delaney, to me, up to last year, has been the most consistent player and probably the best player in the country up to last year. As well documented, Brian has been in hospital for a while, was unwell. He's out of hospital a few weeks ago. He's definitely in pain because you'll see by his scoring even today in Rockledge, he shot 52 first round. Obviously, he must have packed up, whatever. He's obviously playing through pain. Any person that is playing through pain, it's hard to play your best. Liam O'Donovan has played very little this year. Hasn't played in many scratch cups. Probably, I would consider him one of the best putters of all time. Brian Delaney, I'd be expecting Brian to come through this, but it depends what Brian Delaney turns up. He's definitely playing through pain. He's definitely suffering at the moment, but I'd fancy Brian, but it depends what condition Brian Delaney's in.
Yeah, going with Brian, though. Yeah. John, you're going with Brian.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if both players are fit and healthy, I think it's an unbelievable game. I think, it's the final in the first round, but I actually think Liam O'Donovan is going to win this one. I think, as John said, Brian hasn't been playing. He hasn't been well. And I know Liam hasn't been playing, but there's nothing that phases that man. You could knock in 6-2 against him, he'll still do that laugh. You know what I mean? And that alone might give him the advantage if he laughs on the board. So, so I think I'm going to go with Liam on this one.
Very good. And this is tough. At the two players at their best, this could be absolutely immense. I don't really know how Liam is playing. I questioned where he wasn't on the circuit a couple of weeks ago. I thought he wasn't well, or something. But it doesn't seem that way. But he hasn't played much. Brian has played a little bit, but I know he has not been well. But Brian's pitching is just such class. I'm going to go with Brian here, and we'll stick him through as the victor on this. Guys, thanks a million for joining into us. We're going to continue this in part 2 in a couple of seconds, right? So I'm going to ask my 2 co-hosts to hold on with me, and we'll go on to round 2, 3, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals, and get down to the nub of it. And thanks for listening, and hope you join in for part 2. Sorry, this is going on so long, but I think it's important that we get it right and deliver a good show. Thanks, guys. John, Darren, if you can hold with me a minute, we'll get this rocking. Is that okay?